Hey folks, welcome to episode 52 of Funny Book Splatter, a horror comics podcast brought to you by HorrorTalk.com. I am your host, James Ferguson. First off, I am sorry for the delay in getting this episode live. This week kind of got away from me. Don't worry, the show is not going anywhere and I already have the next few episodes recorded. Of course, my first real delay happens to come in episode number 52, representing a full year of podcasting on Funny Book Splatter. Well, that's more than a little embarrassing. Thank you to all who have listened to the show and spread it around. It is truly appreciated. This week's guest is Simon Birks, the writer of Sinners, Hexes, and Gone. He's currently running a Kickstarter campaign to fund the release of Sinners Volume 1. I've backed a number of Simon's Kickstarter campaigns, including this one. He always delivers, and the books are pretty solid. We talk about how he got into comics from another medium, his Kickstarter process, and more. If you want to check out some of Simon's work, you can get digital copies of the first issues for Hexes, Sinners, and Gone by signing up to his email newsletter at bluefoxcomics.com/giveaway. You can find more of his work at bluefoxcomics.com and at bluefoxcomics on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. All right, now let's get on with the show. Here is episode 52 of Funny Book Splatter with my guest, Simon Birks. The way I like to start the show is kind of get everyone acquainted with your book. We're going to talk about Sinners to start with. So how would you describe a book like Sinners to someone if you were on the convention floor and you had someone's attention?
Yeah, it's, again, supernatural noir tale about a girl who wakes up dead one day, and then it gets worse from there, really. And she ends up inheriting a limousine and having to drive around the America, and the GPS tells her where the next sinner is. She has to go and dispatch.
So I like that she wakes up dead, and it gets worse from death.
Yeah, yeah, basically.
Okay, that's a great way to start it out. So the Kickstarter campaign you're running right now is for the collection of the first volume. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so
we're collecting issues 1 to 4.
Yeah. Now, what I admire about you is one of the things I admire about you is that you seem to have this Kickstarter down to a science. Like I think you have one project, it goes into the next, Like Kickstarter, from what I understand, can be a very labor intensive, a cumbersome and hair raising experience. But how are you handling so many campaigns at such a fast pace like that?
Yeah, I just had a lobotomy. I think that was it. And then everything was fine. But no, I think the first one I did, which was for Sinners 1 as it happened, in January 2015, I think that was probably very stressful. And of course I've had a couple of misfires along the way as well, which, doesn't really help. But yeah, you just, but you get to the stage, where yes, you have an idea, you have a following as well. And so, and you start to understand what sort of people, what sort of following you have, which is great. And also I cheated, you may have heard, of Tyler James and Comics Launch,
yes.
But
he comes up on this show quite frequently.
I bet he does. Yeah. I bet he does. So I went through the course, the Comics Launch course and the List Launch course, just to hone the skills. I won't say that I'm 100% taker honor of everything there, but I've certainly picked up I don't know, a good percentage of things to do and tweaks to make things better. So that helps as well. Always having somebody say, to ask a question is always nice. I tend to learn well that way. But yeah, apart from that, everything just stacks up sometimes. You have books being drawn, and everything, and then, and you don't really hear much, from the artists, apart from the occasional, small update. And then of course they all, as ever, they all come to fruition, in the same month or basically at the end of last year. And all of a sudden I thought, oh my word, I have a lot of Kickstarter projects that I need to put on. This year is going to be just as hectic as the last, shall we say.
Well, I guess that's a good problem to have. More and more comics and all these projects coming to fruition. It sounds like you have a lot of what's the word? Like a lot of sticks in the fire or something like that, where plates spinning.
Yeah, a lot of irons in the fire. Yeah, it's and just because I'm a glutton for punishment, towards the end of last year, I ran my first Comic Con as well down near where we are here.
Oh, yeah?
In a city called Chichester. But yeah, because I didn't have enough to do. So I did that, and that went really well. Over 600 people came, considering it's the first one, 70 tables. Everyone was happy, which was really nice. And, of course, I've got that now. I've got that again to do this year. But that's okay.
Well, as you said, I think if you're building that audience over and over and over again, then it should be a bit bigger and better returns for each subsequent show that you do.
Yeah, I certainly, to go off on a tangent, the Comic Con, one of the reasons I wanted to go into that because it's another way of building connections with people and artists as well, that I've never met, and also local ones, which is fantastic to me. So that's good. It's bringing that network up, because when I started going into comics, I had comics that my nan bought me when I was 7 or 8, Spider-Man comics, but I'd kind of ignored them for many years after that until I was about 40. And then when I started turning these short film scripts that I had into comics, because I realized that it would actually be far cheaper to get someone to draw the comics than it would be to ever get the short films.
Very true.
made. And I actually had a chance of selling the comics. Whereas short films are slightly, they're not really cared about, should we say. So, so I started doing the comics. Again, this is what I do. I forget the question.
You got it. I just said about building your audience there, but
brilliant. That's right.
I was going to ask you about that. So about your path into comics. So you have an experience as a writer and director for film there. So that was your kind of jump into the medium was, hey, maybe this isn't the best medium for these stories. Maybe, adjust them and put them into comics.
Yeah, very much so. When I sit down and write, I did the normal thing of teenage angsty poetry, and then I sort of went into sort of like actually plays. I got into acting sort of when I was 21 or so, and then did some plays and managed to now I've done a few novels as well. But then we did short films and films, so things just progress. I guess I don't stand still very long doing the same thing. So I progressed into films, and we've done films. And I had these short films that I developed for Sinners with a chap from New York, Dan Torrens, and we sort of developed this idea for the 7 Deadly Sins and stuff. And the short film scripts, we got the 7 short film scripts ready, and then. It just got to the stage where I thought, I don't know what light bulb it was that got turned on, but one day I obviously thought, this is a good thing to do, or this is a good thing to try, and so I started looking for artists, which in fact was one of the biggest hurdles, and I think a lot of people stumble with that. Probably a lot of writers finding artists out there, but fortunately, again, I can't remember how I really did it. It's going to be a DeviantArt trawl or something like that. And there's another site, another forums, can't remember what they're called, but you kind of advertise on there. But I did manage to find a couple. In fact, I had Sinners #1 drawn twice.
Oh, really?
And I didn't like it. Well, the first guy did quite a few of the pages and then had to drop out because he was unwell. And then the second artist did it all. And then we lettered it, and then I don't know, there was something wrong about it. It wasn't what I wanted. So I just had to knock that on the head. And then actually seriously, I actually only started I went to my first Comic Con, I think, as well, probably 2014. And that was mainly in search for artists. And fortunately, I found Roy, who does the art for Sinners. He was in like a UK anthology that we have, and I contacted him, and he was happy with the terms, which is great. So then we just started doing Sinners, and the great thing about Roy is that it actually, he's really very passionate about the project, which is fantastic.
Yeah, and I imagine you get a better collaboration when people are actually really excited about the project than just, it's a paycheck, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's not a case of he'll come to me now and pretty much for the covers and say, okay, I've got these like 5 ideas for covers I want to sketch up and send to you. I say, yeah, okay, do that. And he sends them, and I love everyone. He's got it. He knows what's going on. He knows the feel that we're going for. And yeah, I couldn't be happier.
Now, being that something like Sinners started as started with the idea of being as a short film, would you ever want to go back and you know, if budget and everything came together to still film it as create it as a short film?
Yeah, could be done. And I was helping Dan out the other day, writing up a kind of a 10 short episode thing. So really a 10 short film for a platform somewhere just to pitch to them. So I guess that's still very much on the cards. And the good thing now is that he can actually take the comics and say, look, we've already done our storyboards type thing, or you know, this is a sort of feel, so they can actually get a bit deeper into the story. So that may work. Of course, it may come to nothing. But
yeah, well, look, right now comics are a hot commodity for Hollywood and everything right now in terms of both movies and television. That there's certainly you know, stranger things have happened, and so many things have been picked up from Kickstarter lately that there's certainly an audience for something like that.
Yeah, that's right, and I would readily accept that.
Now, how many projects would you say you have in the works now? Because I know, you know, between all the Kickstarters that you said you had going on, but like how many would you say are like in some you know, shape or fashion working on right now?
I'd have thought about 7. I'd have thought, because we've got I've got a book that I will kickstart, which actually is great because I mean, so I run Blue Fox Publishing, Blue Fox Comics, and mainly we publish my stuff. We also publish some works of Lyndon White, who does most of our lettering, and also did the Hexes #2. So we've done that, but actually someone's approached me with a finished book and said, okay, we're interested in someone representing us in Europe, North America, and would you be interested? And so we're sort of going down that route and sort of testing the waters, because for Blue Fox Comics, I grow very organically. I'm not, you know, I haven't got thousands and thousands of pounds behind me. It's just a case of just seeing what works and just doing it slowly and making sure I don't put all your eggs in one basket. I try not to be too cliche. But so that's good. So we've got that sort of project coming on, which is a graphic novel, which should start pretty much immediately after Sinners finishes. Then I think I've got a horror double bill actually coming out after that. I ran a short horror competition, a horror comic competition, 6 pages last year, and the chap who won, a guy called Ben Edwards. I liked his idea so much, I said that, you know, can we develop this into a 24-page comic? And he was very happy to do that. So we've done that. So I've got that, and also I've got another a horror that I've written again from a short film, another story. So I'm going to need to get that drawn up, and then we'll go straight to Kickstarter with that. Then we've got Hexes 5 to 8 being drawn at the moment. Yeah. So what we'll probably do is like do another, just the two issues of that, and then later on in the year do like Hexes Volume 2. So that's 2 in itself.
Wow. Do you ever sleep? That's that.
I know.
Like...
I do, and I sleep very well. But there is a lot going on. I'm trying to develop a card game because that sort of side of things interests me as well. So I'm just tinkering around in the odd minutes that I have, just getting some of the art developed for that, and just play testing that. So maybe I'm not really expecting it to happen this year, but you know, it's in the works, so that's quite nice.
That's awesome.
So there's a few.
Yeah,
others
I mean
that's
incredible. Like, look, it sounds clearly you're very passionate about all of these endeavors, and it's just you've kind of thrown everything into it, which is fantastic. So, I mean, are you has Blue Fox Comics gotten to the point where, like, is that a full-time job, or is that, or do you still have other other responsibilities out there as well?
Oh, responsibilities. Yeah, I do. I have a full-time job. I work in IT for my sins, and it works. So that's a 9 to 5, 37.5-hour week. So, but I commute an hour there, hour back. So I do writing there or Kickstarter development there, and it is a bit mad doing all that. So no, it's not come to a full-time thing, but
look, that's like that could be the goal there too, and it sounds, look, you're dedicating the time to it like it is a full-time job, which is what you need to do if you want to really get out there and be successful. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I have a very specific, ethos is the wrong word, but certainly the artist that I go for, I want it to be in the top 20% of art that I like or that I see. So I do go for things that are quite quirky, but just I think show talent, and that's really cool. So I do. I approach it. I don't want to put anything out there which I'm not proud of, and I've not taken the time off, because I've got. One of the other things we have as well, I got there's on Amazon Prime, we've got a film up on there. We've got a web series that we did as well. So it's that thing where you're building up little revenue streams in the hope that one day they might all actually be a big revenue stream and be able to support you outside of the
show.
That's.
I mean, I'm in awe of the amount of things that you're doing at one time. That's insane. Like it's like, but that, like I said, it's if you're going through that and this is something you really want to do, then dedicate that time to find time for it. So you took that time, those little gaps in throughout the day where it's like, you're on the train or whatever, taking transportation to get to work. That's time that you could be reading a book or listening to music or something, but no, you're going to work that. You're going to put that time in for something else.
Yeah, because I mean, work is it is work, but it's nice work. It's like I'm happy to do.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I've been trying to do the same, like, lunch breaks at the office or something. All right, well, that's when I can write and bang out reviews and stuff like that. And break up the daily routine a little bit more. So you just got to carve out that time throughout the day to make it all work for you.
Yeah, you do. At some point I need to carve out some time to find a gym somewhere and, try and actually be fit. But, that's kind of one of this year's goals, but, I'm not sure.
Yeah, my gym time, if I'm on the treadmill, I'm reading comics on my tablet. So I'm just wondering, how people are seeing me, where it's like, what's this guy doing? I'm like reading through crazy horror comics where people's heads are exploding and stuff. And I'm like, this is just part of the gig.
Yeah. That's right. Well, there you go. Again, something just went through my brain and I've forgotten it. But yes, if I'm driving anywhere, that's when I listen to Audible books. So that's kind of what I do nowadays. I don't really sit down and apart from the graphic novels, I'll read novels themselves. I'll listen to on long car journeys that I can't avoid driving. So that's really nice as well. So I guess it's a bit mad, but again, I don't feel like it's, I don't feel
if you're doing what you love, then you don't work, right? Isn't that something along those lines with the saying?
Well, yeah, exactly. So it works very well. Very happy.
So now, I was going to ask you about how you connect with the different artists, but you kind of already covered that in terms of just seeking them out wherever they may be.
Yeah, I mean, I'm working with artists. Obviously, it's nice, and it's one of another fun part of doing this sort of stuff. But one of the good things, we'll probably come on to Hexes, but Hexes are one-offs, and each of them are drawn by a different artist. So that's, I kind of use those to build up that rapport with the artist to make sure that we can work together and that basically they can stand me. And if we can, then that's good. Then, and if I have then maybe a longer term project come up, I can approach somebody that I can trust. That's the kind of building.
And that's how everyone suggests to start out in the industry is to, you have to start small. So these little one-offs are great to kind of get your foot in the door and get, not only for you getting more and more acquainted with the medium, but, artists that may be their first or early projects there. Was Hexes one of your first or your first, endeavor in the comic book medium?
No.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm sorry. You said that. I'm
mad,
sorry.
Really. I know that's fine. No, but the good thing about Sinners is that, the bad thing about Sinners is that I started, and it's the longest series that I'm going to be doing. I mean, it's 12 issues long. So that shows you my innocence, I think, coming into this project or into this industry, that I started with that. And so I'm just very thankful that Roy is there and is sticking with me. Then Sinners did come about mainly because I did Sinners, and I did a sci-fi one called Gone, and then after that, that's when Hexes came about. But the Hexes came around mainly because you're sitting at a convention, people come up, they pick up Sinners and they say, oh, is this a one and done sort of thing? I say, no, actually you're in it for a long haul there, and generally people would put it down, and understandably. So really Hexes came about in an attempt to corner yet another market at the cons.
Yeah, I'm interested in that, because it's like there's always to me, I'm like I want to get into a long running series like that. I want to know that someone is in it for a long haul, and that they have a story that's a beginning, middle, and end kind of thing. But I don't know. I personally don't gravitate as much to one shots and stuff, but I can understand that, especially if it's someone that's just trying out your work. It's like, hey, this seems interesting, but what's something quick I can kind of dive into and get a quick idea as to what you're doing here.
Yeah, very much. But again, this year we're coming on with the collective, with like Hexes Volume 1, which we did. So now people can come there. Sorry, the thing with Hexes is it's all set in the same universe type thing. So even though they're separate, in the future there will be some crossover, but you don't have to worry about it at this stage. But so that's quite nice as well. So maybe it's just drawing them in. It's the worm on the hook.
Yeah, those are my favorite kind of anthology stories, where it's in a shared universe, or it's in kind of helmed by a few voices in that way. I don't know. I feel like you get with more compelling stories. I see that with like Dirk Manning's Nightmare World, with Neil Gibson's Twisted Dark, where these are all crazy stories, but they all happen in the same world, and they're all steered by one writer to kind of tell that ship. Not to discount other anthologies that are out there, but those are the ones that really stick out the most to me.
Yeah, no, and it's good. And I think people do, like yourself, they sort of do latch onto that and understand that, and sort of that interests and piques their interests when I can tell them it's all in the Hexaverse, all the same universe. And it's nice as well having different issues, because it's not all the same villain all the way through. You get different things, different demons or whatever they might be coming on. And also, I kind of like to leave the reader thinking, okay, did this guy just imagine all this stuff, or is this actually happening? So I try and tease people really. That's
great too, yeah, because the unreliable narrator, that's a fantastic plot device that I don't think is used as much as it should be. Yeah,
I've just finished my latest novel, which is with agents at the moment, trying to find an agent, and that's actually set in Ness's universe as well, because I thought, well, even if no one's interested in actually publishing it, for real, then when I self-publish it, I can sell it on the stand, and it ties in with some of the comics as well. Some of the characters actually do appear in the novel, so that's quite nice. Fun. So again, it's just finding ways to secure everything together. Now,
why being that you're writing novels as well as comics, like, do you have how do you kind of decide which ideas should go into which medium?
How do I do that? Well, a lot of the ways I write the short films and thus the comics, I use competitions, and I enter competitions for short films and stuff like that, because that's the deadlines that actually seem to drive me forward. I seem to be able to write more if I know I've only got 5 days to do it in. So really, the stories just come out, and a lot of the stories actually, the one that I enter every year is NYC Midnight, again New York one, I guess, which they give you the genre, the location, and a character or something, and you have to write. You've got like literally 5 days or something to write something in. So that's quite nice. So it naturally throws up different sorts of stories. And even though I've never got beyond the second round, I use it to turn them into comics and sort of flesh them out a bit later on down the line. So really the stories just I write for that particular medium, I guess, whereas Songstrom, which is the novel, I started writing that because of NaNoWriMo a couple of years ago. I sat there and thought, what sort of novel hadn't I written yet? And I'm a great horror reader, Stephen King fan, unsurprisingly. And so I just thought, I haven't written a horror. Let's go for it. And the great thing about having an unreliable narrator is that I don't have to research facts too much. So.
That's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if he's wrong, then, well, that's him. He's ignorant. He's weird, or I don't know.
Yeah, that's right. He's imagining all this. It's absolutely fine.
Now, you mentioned Stephen King. Was he kind of your gateway into the horror genre? I feel, he seems to be a lot of folks an influence on a lot of people. Not obviously, being he's one of the quintessential horror writers of the past, few decades. But it seems to be that his work is, his books are something that people get into at a very young age, perhaps too young, but just kind of latch onto it.
Yeah. Yeah, I was a teenager in the 80s, basically. So it's obviously a lot of the books there that came out. I remember going downtown into the bookshop and looking around, always looking in the horror section. And this was, I'd have been, I don't know, 11, 12, something like that. And so Stephen King came out. Robert R. McCammon, I've read a few of his. I think one of the ones I remember is a chap called T.M. Wright, who sort of does this speculative horror type stuff. And I think that's kind of where the things like Songstrom sort of came from. It's this sort of weird stuff. But I enjoyed it. So yeah, that sort of stuff. Also, other famous horror writers. So yeah, but Stephen King is just, obviously still listening to him today. The great thing about Stephen is that, I've grown up with him. So now the books are sort of, I recently finished his Bill Hodges trilogy, and that's great. So, the protagonist is now slightly older because he is, and so it's just nice. It really has a great feel. And, I'm just enjoying it. I'm reading the Tommyknockers at the moment. So I don't know how far through I am with that, but that's good.
Yeah, and you may look at those books, differently now that you're older than you would have as a kid too, because you obviously have different life experiences. You may have different things that scare you now than it was when you were a kid. So that kind of stuff can you see it through different eyes.
Yeah, very much. I remember when I was at school, I was 11, and for some reason, some fluke, I came top in science for the year. I think even the teachers were surprised. But they gave out sort of book tokens or something at the end of the year, and so I got to choose books, and they presented them to me on stage, which I don't think I really took into account, because I was sitting there with my mum and stuff, and all the other kids were going up and getting their scholarly books, and I had The Exorcist and 666 by Jay Anson. So, and I literally did. I walked up, they said, "Oh yes," and it was just, you just brush these things off and carry on. I'm 11. I'm reading, that sort of book, The Exorcist. But yeah, that's okay. I'm almost.
You turned out okay, now you're an accomplished writer with dozens of Kickstarter campaigns going the midst.
Yeah. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's the whole crux of it.
That's great. Yeah. Do you have a favorite, like a go-to horror novel that was like, this is it for me, like this is the end all be all kind of book? Like, well, I guess that's Stranded on the Desert Island kind of question.
Yeah, I guess so. I'd probably take The Stand. I think that's probably one of my favourites. Again, I re-listened to that recently, and it's I guess probably the edition I didn't read when I was younger. The edition that now he's famous, he's allowed to put out with all the words in, and that was really nice. He's got a lot of skill in creating characters with just a few lines, characters with depth. I mean, for a horror book, they're pretty deep. So So that's the sort of thing I think I would take.
Plus, it's a pretty long book, so it would keep you occupied if you're stranded somewhere.
Yeah, and if I needed a fire, it would last a bit longer.
Yeah, I think The Stand it's remarkable how big that book is in general. Like, it's just something that that's another that stood the test of time, is something everyone can kind of go back to. I only first read it probably 5 or 6 years ago, and it was it holds up. Yeah. The miniseries based on it, not so much, but everything else is pretty good.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's really good. I started actually reading. I read the one which has The Mist in it, so like a short stories compilation and stuff like that, and that's nice as. Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. I should do. It literally was the other day. So that was nice because they had the Mist TV series, which got cancelled after a season, didn't it? And I've seen the film.
I like the film. I haven't seen the TV show just yet.
No, I kind of switched off after like 3 or 4 episodes. It was just, it was dragging, shall we say? But yeah, so actually I thought it would be good to listen to the novelette now, and yeah, that was really good. I like the Bachman books as well. I really like because again, can't remember The Running Man.
Yeah, he had a few in there and those were interesting because he wanted to just see can I just write in general, or am I just selling this based off of my name? So good on him for trying it out.
That's right. The first one. Yeah, like The Long Walk, I think the first one was, which was kind of one of the things, I think one of the inspirations behind the Hunger Games, bless it. And I really like The Long Walk, it's just a simplistic idea. And I like the Girl Loved Tom Gordon as well. Again, a simplistic idea, but just well told. I'm happy.
Now, you mentioned that you had you had old Spider-Man comics or whatever as a kid, but what brought you back into the medium? Outside of just the need of trying to tell a story and budgetary reasons for short films.
Yeah. Well, of course, I'm a geek, so that always helped. And so I've always liked that sort of stuff. Always, I think it was I don't know, late 90s, something like that. They had either had a dodgy Spider-Man film or a dodgy Spider-Man series. I think it was the Spider-Man series. So I liked it. So I guess it never went away. I've always enjoyed it. I just never thought to really focus on it. But again, so I don't know what started it again. I guess Comic Con, you hear about San Diego Comic Con and stuff like that. So that's always in the news, and that's been building in itself. So maybe that was part of it as well. Just the fact that they were getting more popular. And so before, 8-9 years ago, I wouldn't have given them a second thought. But yeah, it must have risen in my consciousness somewhere and bubbled to the surface. And yeah, I thought I'd give that a go. And it's because I found it was something I could do. And it's unlike a film where you've got 20 people working together. It's me and it's the artist, maybe the letterer, and there's a bit more control. There's not so many people, not to argue with, but to liaise with and stuff. So that probably worked well for me. So just the ability to create comics, and once you've created your first one and it's gone well, I was hooked. Really.
Yeah, it's well, like a Pringle or whatever. You can't stop after you get started with those with making comics.
Yes, it's just like Pringles, but a lot more expensive.
Well, they look better in general. Now, yes, how long would you say something like Sinners took you from the idea to the actual output of the first issue?
The ideas, the short films were written a while ago. They were probably written around 2009, I think. So really, I'm just trying to think. And it was issue 1 was funded, I think February 2015. So I guess 6 years, but then I had these 2 misfires, and I probably didn't even think about it till 2013 anyway. So, so 6 years, and but it's been good. Because obviously I write an issue at a time, but I wrote the first 4, and then I kind of left them. But it's nice going back now because I'm on sort of most of the way through issue 7 now, and a lot of them, obviously 7 of them are created from these short films. So it's nice to go back, look at the short films I've written, improve the dialogue. And just improve them and just make them into comics. And the thing with the comics, a 32-page comic, so it's not something you want to be hit over the head by. It's quite hefty, and so going through the comics now, obviously we've added the story of Hope's on-off boyfriend who dies, who's dead in the first issue. She finds him dead. We find out where he's going as well. So and that's all starting to link up as well. So it's really good. I'm very excited. I love writing sort of as I keep writing because I'm not a great planner. I just write them, but I'm fortunate enough to be able to think, you look back and think, I can use that weird thing that I said there, and it actually makes sense here. So I'm very lucky like that.
So you said you wrote 4 issues, like the first 4 issues, and just kind of like. That was you wrote that and then put them on a shelf somewhere for a bit.
Well, I probably did the first one, and then found Roy, did the others, sent them to Roy, forgot about it because obviously Roy has art that actually pays him decent money to do. So my stuff gets put on, and understandably so. He does it in the evenings or when he's got time. So I just forgot about them, and I knew it was going to be maybe a couple of years before I had to worry about them. And that's what's happened. So I finished number 4, and actually he's drawing another comic. He's drawing one of the Hexes for me now. And whilst he was doing that, I've just got stuck in and thought I better do the others now, or better do the next 4, and then I can forget about it for another 2 years.
Now, have you gone back and changed anything since you had initially wrote those first 4? Like after seeing, you said you got the first issue redrawn, but did you really like, maybe we should zig instead of zag, or do something different here, and when you get into those later chapters, or have they kind of maintained with your original vision for what you set out to do in the beginning?
From Hope, for the 7 Deadly Sins ones, so the 7 of them which are based on the short films, they from Hope's perspective, Hope being the protagonist, they follow the same sort of story. But of course now that we've got Danny, who's a dead boyfriend, there as well, and his sort of his story, obviously, so they've completely. So they've got nothing to do with what I originally planned. And yes, I things pop into my head as I write them. And I guess the good thing about writing these 4 is that when I finish the 4, I can at least within this arc, I can go back and change something like in issue 5 or issue 6 if I've thought of something great in issue 8. So that is kind of, again, it really is a case of just writing them as is, seeing what the characters say, and but obviously as the further you go on, the more you do have to plan. I do find myself with the spreadsheet now actually having to plan my pages, but it's not very in depth, should we say. It's just to get to the end.
Well, you have 12 total issues planned for Sinners, and then is there an end in sight for Hexes, or being that it's more of an anthology book, or are you just going to kind of keep going as long as you keep coming up with ideas?
I think it will just keep going. Yeah, Hexes will just keep going. Towards, I think in Hexes 8, you first see two characters from different stories in the same panel. So I think after Hexes 8, we're going to start getting into crossovers and the bigger picture, whatever that may be. Because right now, I have no idea.
You have no idea what the end would be, or? Yeah, but that's okay. With an anthology thing, like, it can be as long as it needs to be. And if you want to bring it to some, huge conclusion where it's, kind of your Crisis on Infinite Earths of all these characters meeting and intersecting, that's fine too. So there's a place for all that.
Yeah, very much. It's how I'm writing comics nowadays as well. I mean, I recently finished work on a series called Cloda, which is a dark fantasy, and they're all 28 pages each. I write to whatever the story feels right, lengthwise. And in fact, some like Hexes 7 and 8, I think they are like the first 4 Hexes are 24 pages. That's all they are. But they're actually they're creeping up and up as we go further into the series, because the stories are just longer, and that's simple as that. If it's a story that requires 32 pages or 36 pages, that's what it is. I'm not limiting myself. So we might see at some point like a one-off Hexes graphic novel, which isn't an anthology but is like an 80-page story in itself. That sort of thing.
And that's the beauty of independent comics and Kickstarter is you're not stuck in the template of, well, this comic has to be 22 pages and that's it. They can be as long as they want, as you want them to be, because you're making it. It's all on you. So if you want to print a comic that's 32 pages or 40 pages or whatever, you could do that.
Yeah. It's good to have the freedom, and it's nice just to keep trying different things and to find out what works. So
now, if you had one piece of advice to give to someone that was starting a Kickstarter, being that you've done like quite a few of them, and what would you give to somebody? For
Kickstarters, just don't start with a 12-issue a 12-issue thing. It's just mad. Don't do it. Do a one-off. If you're a writer, write your 22, 24-page comic. Find an artist, or learn to draw. It's going to be cheaper. But find an artist. Do that, and look at what's already been on there. I mean, if you look at some of my latest campaigns, they do follow a pattern now. I think, it's such a pattern that people, and it seems to work with people. So have a look, see what other people are doing. Make sure you finish the comic art-wise before you go to Kickstarter. I think you're really asking for issues if you just do 5 pages and say, okay, this money is going to help me finish it off, because by golly, you're not going to finish it off.
I think only like huge names in the industry can get away with that. But if it's like I'm good for it, you'll get it sooner or later. But if you're just starting out, no, you got to build up that faith in the industry.
Yeah, and obviously one of the things I've learned from the list launch course is get your email list in order. So start building your email list, friends, family, and then people. Just drag them in not however you can, but drag people in and start building that list and getting names, if you're at cons or whatever. But get interested people who'd be interested in your work, and then you can start building out. One of the things that I'm actually going to do a coloring book later on this year. I'm going to kickstart one of those, and one of the ways of getting emails and stuff like that is that I offer like a 12-page colouring sample, shall we say, to people. But it's a Facebook ad, but it's targeted at people who like Kickstarter, who like colouring, who like this particular type of image that they can be colouring. And so it's very specific, and obviously people do, they sign up to get the 12-page thing. So you don't know everything. I think when it comes down to it, is that people don't know everything, and so go out there, have a look around, see what's going on. Be prepared to fail. Failing is great. I'm sure I'm not the only proponent. I think it was last year. I did a Kickstarter for The Girl in the Midnight Gown. I was adamant that I wanted it as a hardcover. As well as a soft cover. That meant the actual cost went up to like £7,000. I didn't have the backing to get that. I didn't have the ground support to get that. So that's fine. That was a mistake. But then you come out of that thinking, okay, I can improve this now. Clearly, and I did. I mean, we went and we funded the paperback absolutely fine. But yeah, so that's the thing. It's don't worry. If you fail on the first go, it's absolutely fine. In fact, that's probably normal. My second Kickstarter failed, and that was a Kickstarter for Gorn. I think Sinners there's a bigger fan base, I would suggest, for horror out there, supernatural horror, which is kind of what Sinners is. And I think I was fortunate because I knew nothing going into that campaign. I was fortunate that I had a group of people, and my friends and family supported me on that one as well. And people bought into it, and I managed to do that one. But the next one, sci-fi, just didn't have the people there. So sort of know that audience. But I do. I am a trouble one to myself, really, because I do have a range of genres that we put books out for. So yeah, at some point I might have to tackle sort of trying to segregate people into, who likes the young fantasy sort of stuff and who likes the darker end of the convention table.
Yeah, but that's also helpful for you in building an audience in general, and that people may try out things. Like I know I've tried books that I for genres that I'm not entirely crazy about, but the creators have done good work in the past, so I'm like, all right, I'll give this a shot because I like their work in general. So yeah, I'll go ahead and back that Kickstarter or pick up this book. So there's space for it.
Oh, very well. Yeah.
All right, Simon, this was a lot of fun. I think, look, when this goes up, the Kickstarter campaign will still be in full swing for Volume 1, so we'll definitely link that up in the show notes for people to check out. But otherwise, where are the best places for folks to find you online?
Okay, bluefoxcomics.com, quite simple. We also got a Facebook page called Blue Fox Comics, and generally, if a site needs, an at Blue Fox Comics, you'll find us on there. So Instagram and Twitter and probably Tumblr. But so we're in those places. And
you have a newsletter as well, right? We can plug that as well, because if you sign up for that, you can get you get a free look at some books, right?
Yeah, you get 3 free issues. You get Sinners #1 PDF, you get Gone #1 PDF, and you get Hexes #1 PDF. So you kind of got 2 little horror issues there. So yeah, if you go to bluefoxcomics.com/giveaway, and it's simple as that.
Great. Look, I've backed the Sinners Kickstarter campaign myself, so definitely worth checking out. I do put my money where my mouth is on this show, so definitely encourage you guys to check it out as well. But that about does it then for this episode of Funny Book Splatter. I have been James Ferguson with my guest Simon Birks. You've been listening to Funny Book Splatter, a horror comics podcast brought to you by HorrorTalk.com. We've been bringing you the best in horror since 2002. In addition to comics, we cover movies, TV shows, books, and video games. We've got news, reviews, guest features, interviews, unboxing videos, and much more. Be sure to sign up to Steve's Deals newsletter to increase your horror collection without breaking the bank. Check us out at HorrorTalk.com and at HorrorTalk on Twitter.